What's going on, guys? How you doing? Welcome to the UNAFRAID Podcast. For this podcast, we're going to talk about identity. And in italics, the subtitle is Move On, Bro. The way this came about, I kept seeing the word identity. And probably about 2 months ago, I received an email, and I got the email here. We'll put it up on the screen. When UNAFRAID the book came out, we sent out advanced copies by e-version, right? So readable stuff that you can get on your tablet. And I sent it to a lot of people that I worked with, and one of those individuals was a mentor of mine that I was at SEAL Team 2 with, and he also went on to my Tier 1 unit with me. So I sent him a copy. Never heard anything back until I got this email, but this is what the email said. This was his response. Eddie, shut the F up, moron. So we won't get into the grammar here, but that's what it was. Eddie, shut the F up, you moron. That's pretty much what it was saying. And I read that, and this is a guy that I looked up to when I was in the SEALs. He taught me tons of stuff, how to operate. He was a great on the battlefield leader. And when I read that, initially, you would think like you would be super ticked off or whatever it might be, but I felt sad. I was like, my immediate thoughts were, are you still, this has been, over 10 years. Are we still living in this identity of being a Navy SEAL and not moving on with your life? It's sad. It's very sad. It reminds me, I always tell the story, or usually tell the story, about the varsity football player. You've got the kid in high school that was the all-star quarterback or running back or whatever it is, always wore the varsity jacket. They were the best. They were the cool kid in school. They had it all. The cool girlfriend, the awesome car, whatever it may be. You get what I'm trying to say here. And 20 years later, you have a reunion and they're still living in that identity. They're still wearing the varsity jacket. They're still talking about that touchdown pass that they won. They're still stuck in that identity back in high school when years have passed. There's got to be growth. And a lot of us get stuck in this identity. And to be honest with you, I saw this a lot as a Navy SEAL. When I was going through all that training, probably within the last year, there were still remnants of it. And I'm realizing that I needed to get rid of that stuff and move on with my life. Starting a business, all that stuff. Some people, like the email that I just read, are stuck in this spot. That is a section of your life. If you just take our life as a book, we have all these chapters. Chapter 1, 2, 3, and so on. We'll say to chapter 20. You need to move on. You can't be stuck in chapter 4 for the rest of your life. You've got to move on. There is more for you to do, more for you to discuss. There needs to be learning, growth, knowledge, wisdom. If this is the way you're still thinking decades later, that's a problem, and that's very sad. I'm guilty of this too. As a Navy SEAL, I would always think of that as like, hey, let's go do. Somebody would ask me to go do something. Let's go hike a mountain. Let's go on a bike ride. Something physical. Let's go shooting. Let's go do jujitsu. I felt like I had to live up to the Navy SEAL identity and be that person. And the truth is, I'm not as good as a person that hikes up a mountain all the time. I'm not as good as a black belt in jiu-jitsu who does it all the time. I'm not as good as someone that does something all the time. I'm just a Navy SEAL, but the identity or the persona of it is like, oh, they can do everything. They're the baddest dude. That's not true. That's actually very false. But we see that, and I saw it in my Navy SEAL career, and you see it in other professions. Doctors, lawyers, they do really well for them in their business life, which is great. But is that your identity? Is everything focused when you deal with your kids or when you're talking to your spouse? Is that your identity? I'm not going to talk to you as a spouse, but I'm going to identify as this business owner or this professional football player or this Navy SEAL. Identity that the definition is the distinguishing character or personality of an individual. So how they're pretty much acting. So I kind of have a question for you. Actually, a few questions. Who are you? Really think about that. Who are you? Are you trying to live up to this title or this job, this profession, or are you living the way you should be living and not tied down to this specific title? This is probably a tougher one than the first one. Who do you say you are? So who are you? Who do you say you are? And who do others say you are? So you got 3 there. Who are you? Who do you think you are? Who do you say you are? What do you tell the masses? Who do others say you are? What are you viewed as? The biggest question, and a lot of you, this is going to hit home. Are you posing? Are you pretending to be that persona like I was a Navy SEAL? I just got done with a podcast with a good buddy, Jeff Struker, for his podcast. On the outside, I was at the tip of the spear in the spec war community, got custody of my children. I looked like the most perfect dad, running and gunning with 3 kids, taking care of everything. But inside, I was a freaking mess. I was a mess, and I was acting like I wasn't a mess, but I was a mess. I was a poser. I was 100% a poser. It's exhausting. We try to post the cool stuff, wear the cool shoes, do this stuff. Not even so much as we like it. It's like, hey, I think they'll like this if I do this. We try to entertain and do the right thing for the masses, and it's exhausting. I've been there. I'm not gonna act like I haven't been. I'm like, oh, I'll post this. This will be cool. The thing that comes to mind just talking about it right now is Throwback Thursdays on Instagram, where you throw up your throwback stuff and like, I can show what I did in the military. It's like, dude, move on with your life. And it's okay to go back and appreciate that stuff and the value and lessons learned and the individuals you served with. But some of that just gets carried on. I see it all the time on media. Guys that I worked with, they can't get out of it. They are stuck. They are stuck. Like, look at me with my axe. I'm so tough. It's posing. It is 100% posing. That hit some of you, and I'm sorry, but truth is good. So I want to read this. So I don't know if you have not read this book, I highly recommend it. It's called Atomic Habits, and I'm going to read these 2 sentences real quick. Your identity emerges out of your habits. So what you do, right? Your habits. You are not born with preset beliefs. Just did a post recently on this, all right? You are not born with preset beliefs. Every belief, including those about yourself, is learned and conditioned through experience. So we are learning everything. Obviously, this doesn't go with I'm a tall person or a short person, but we learn all this stuff through our habits. So by what we continue to do or what we tell ourselves or what we tell others, you are forming into that identity. That's what this literally just said. I would caution you to not really care about what society thinks, because it is going to lead down a dark path, and we can hear about it all the time as I want to be like this, I want to be like this, or I'm going to be this. And it's a lot of pressure on yourself, and that's not what you're called to be, all right? And honestly, society is the blind leading the blind. That is it, blind leading the blind. What does God say? What does God say about this identity piece? I moved this book. I got this from a good friend, Tom Atkin. He just sent this to me out of the blue last year sometimes, and it's 1-minute prayers. And it was on my desk, and I moved it to the bathroom, because after coffee time, I go to the bathroom. So I was like, I want to fill my brain when I'm there, right? I just picked it up this morning and I opened it to this right here, which is so funny. And we'll pop this up too. It says identity, which is hilarious. And I was like, I need something like, what does God say? So I wanted to kind of dig into that. Just one passage, old versus new self. You were taught with regard to your former way of life. Navy SEAL, we'll use this as an example, Navy SEAL, former way. To put off your old self, which is being corrupted by its deceitful desires. Gotta be cool, gotta look cool, gotta drink with the best of them, gotta go get the chicks, gotta do it all, right? The deceitful crap. To be made new in the attitude of your minds, and to put on the new self. My new self is what Christ says I am, not what society says, not what another man says I am. It is what Christ says I am. Created to be like God in true righteousness and holiness. So what does that mean, righteousness and holiness? Honestly, it means you choose to sin less. You choose to do the right things and you stop doing certain things. And what I mean by that, and I'm speaking from my personal experiences, is I had to stop drinking. I couldn't do it by myself. I had to invite Christ in and be like, hey, I need your help. I need to lean on him. And he took it away. Same thing with porn. Same thing with a bunch of other stuff that I was doing that I'm like, I need to stop this. And I'm still working on anger, talking to my kids in a better way. It's an ongoing battle that does not stop. And that verse, by the way, was Ephesians 4:22-24. It's a constant process to get away the identity or what we think we're supposed to be based off of what society says and the true identity of what you're supposed to be in Christ. Some of you might be asking, well, what is that? I would say, ask Christ. Ask Christ, what is your identity? And he will tell you. Humble yourselves before him, and he will tell you exactly what it is. And I said a prayer that worked for me. I said, make your purpose my passion. And when I was praying that, I was like, you sure about this, Eddie? And I was like, yes, I'm sure, because I've been screwing it up. I've been empty. It might look great on the inside, outside, but the inside's not what I want it to be, or not that fulfillment that I'm having. I want to be able to provide and give the true love and the warriorness for my family and for others around me. And I said, make your purpose my passion. I kept praying it over and over. Before I knew it, his purpose was to speak on his behalf. And so here I am. So that's really the main reason. I just started like boom, and it became my passion. I can't get enough of it. I can't get enough of it. And I don't want enough of it. And it doesn't matter what society says or what they think. I don't care. I don't care. I care what he thinks, because I'm accountable to him and to him only. That's it. Just a quick wrap up on the identity thing. It's a quick video, but I really wanted to get out there. I think a lot of people are struggling with the identity piece. I know I did. Even when I was done with the SEAL thing, I moved to this, now I'm a business owner. I got to act like a businessman. Like, what does that even mean, right? Then I'm going through the reels of what I saw on TV, what I heard this person say because he was in a business or he was an entrepreneur. Dude, be you, be different, be unique. And I would highly recommend that you seek Christ in all this, and he will lead you the way. I promise you, he will lead you the way. And I was the biggest naysayer in the world. I was like, yeah, I don't think so. Get back. Like, not even arm's length, like telephone pole length, get away from me. I know what comes on the side of following him, and it's beautiful. It's relieving. It's true strength. And it is complete. It is very complete. Comment on this video what you guys want to. You guys can join us on the Patreon page and we can talk about this stuff more. We got more of these things to come in because I've got a list of things to release. All right, guys, take it easy.